Welcome to video 3, where we have now read the data of Hillary Clinton's speeches into a statistical package, in this case Minitab. And what we're going to do, we're going to make sure that we save this project so that we don't have to redo this. And so we're going to save it. And how about if we just call it the Hillary Clinton project, and we're going to save it so that we have now in Minitab saved. Then what we're going to do is we're going to do a statistical test called factor analysis, which is going to try to look at all of the clusters: the academic, the character, the citation, the confidence, hedged, high, low, contingent, description, facilitate. There are a lot of them, about 25 or 26. That's a lot to deal with. Factor analysis allows us to reduce these variables to just a few number of super variables that we might think of as rhetorical strategies. And so what we do is we go to multivariate statistics and factor analysis. And then what we're going to do is look at all of the clusters from academic to update here. We are going to then, on graphs, do a scree plot. The scree plot allows us to see how many factors we want to extract, how many factors are legitimate to extract in this data set. So we run the scree plot and we see anything with the scree plot above 1 is considered to be interesting. But when you start getting 2 scree plots, well, that's hugely important. A scree plot above 2 with an eigenvalue of 2 is very interesting. And here we have an eigenvalue of 4. And we'll explain more in class what these things mean. But anything with an eigenvalue of 2 or more is extremely important and interesting. And so we have 1, 2, 3 of those people before we dip down to just a little above 1. So we want to extract 3 factors. So we're going to close this. Actually, we don't want to save it as a separate file. And we want to go back. It's already done stuff, but we want to ignore that stuff here. And we want to say, let's extract 3, and then let's save those factor scores connected with each factor. And we can talk about that more in this video and also outside of class. So let's say we have C50 to C52, because these are 3 columns for the 3 factors. And we're going to, we don't need the scree plot anymore. And for results, we want to say loadings only, sort loadings, 0 loadings, because we just want loadings with a 0.4 or above. And we're going to hit, and anything before low 0.4 will just be zeroed out. We're going to hit OK. And now we are going to go down, and we can actually move this down. And we can see the 3 factors because now they're sorted, and that's what we want. So we can see this factor, this factor, this factor. We haven't interpreted these factors, but you can think of these factors as a single rhetorical strategy. So think about that we've isolated 3 rhetorical strategies. And again, we have to interpret it, which is an art unto itself that we'll practice. But right now, what we really want to do is go to ANOVA and see if these strategies differentiate Hillary Clinton in her different roles. So we're going to look at the response variables. And the response variables are going to be the different factors. So this is factor 1, which we stored in C50. And the group variable is group. So we're going to see if factor 1, how well that distinguishes Hillary across the 3 roles. We're going to hit OK. And you can see that there's a huge difference between what Hillary does as U.S. Senator when she talks about women and how she talks about women as U.S. Senator. Then she talked about women when she is First Lady or Secretary of State. When she's First Lady or Secretary of State, she's relatively high on this factor, but she plummets a great deal on this factor. She's very low on this factor when she is a U.S. Senator. So that's going to be statistically significant. We see a p-value here of 0.000, which is very, very significant. And one thing we can do just to make sure is we can rerun the ANOVA, but this time with the Tukey test to actually test for significance directly. And so if we run it with the Tukey test, we get the same graph. That doesn't change. But running it with the Tukey test, let's cancel this out. Running it with the Tukey test allows us to see confidence intervals. And if the confidence interval does not cross 0, then we know it's significant. So we know that there's not a significant difference between on factor 1 when she's talking as a woman or as a Secretary of State or First Lady about women. But there's a very significant difference when she goes from talking about First Lady and being a U.S. Senator, and when she talks about Secretary of State and being a U.S. Senator. And we can see that further when we go down here and see that the Tukey said that grouping information. And here, if the U.S. Senator, if the groups have the same number or letter, they are not statistically different, but if the letter changes. So we can see something is really interesting on this factor. She's very low on this factor. Here we can see on this factor, when she is First Lady, her mean score on this factor is 0.371, and as Secretary of State, 0.09. But it really goes down very significantly to a negative 0.8, so it's not even positive. And so we've learned from factor 1 that an enormous significance when she is Secretary of U.S. Senator as opposed to the others. So in other videos, we're going to then interpret factors 2 and 3, or at least look at the significance of it.